So finally here, finally made it, shooting our 1,000 mile review video. It's more like 1,100 miles. I don't know if I've said that in the video already, but we passed that that 1,000 mile marker by a bit. Actually, let's pull up the mileage and check now. Balancing the bike on a can since I don't have a kickstand. 1,117 miles. Don't know if that's showing up on camera, but that's where we're at. So I've waited quite a while to give this review because that's one of my pet peeves. If you've been following, I said it back in a few videos ago. One of my pet peeves is when people unbox these bikes and then they don't even take it on its first ride before they start giving their review on it, and then we never hear, you know, we never get a full review on it later. So this is my 1,000 mile review. This is my only real review I have on this bike. I have answered a few questions here and there, but I've taken all those questions from all my comments, and I've compiled them all on a long list I have in front of me, and we're gonna get to it. We're gonna go from the rooter to the tutor. Now, let's start with delivery. Everybody asked about delivery. How long did it take to get? Because I know on the website, on the Freego website and on the Amazon website, they have long leeway times that you would have to wait. But when I purchased this bike July 17th, when I pulled the trigger, actually, let me tell you about that. So I always wanted a high-powered electric dirt bike. But with Surrons being in the ballpark of 4,500, you know, similar e-bikes in that range always being, you know, $4,000 or more, they're always a little bit out of reach. So when I seen this for $2,700, I started following it, and I soon seen it go on sale for $2,400. And a little bit after that came Prime Day on Amazon, which brought the total price, or the price of the bike, down to $2,100 in total after shipping, handling, and price. I came up to $2,300 and about $65 delivered to my door, which I come from sales. I've been doing sales all my life, and I've always been told there's only two times to buy: when you absolutely need it and you have to go get it no matter how much it costs, or when the time is right and you know you're eventually going to be buying it anyways. So at $2,300, you couldn't beat that deal, so I ended up pulling the trigger. And of course, it had a pre-order date. I'll have to wait. I pulled the trigger July 17th. I was supposed to wait until September 17th to receive the bike, but to my surprise, I woke up to an email about like August 10th saying that the bike had shipped. And of course, I frantically went on FedEx and went and tracked the tracking number, and it said it was in my city. It was like in Anaheim, California, which isn't my city, but it was in my state. It was in Anaheim, California, and I live in Los Angeles, California, which is about a 2-hour drive. So I'm like, is this real? I reached out to the seller. I asked him, did the bike actually make it, you know, off the ship, and is it in California? And they told me, yeah, I should receive it by the 15th, but they were wrong. The bike came August 12th, delivered to my door, and I was excited as all be. But I ended up putting it together. It took me about 30 minutes, maybe an hour. I can't remember exactly, but it was absolutely no more than an hour's worth of time to put together. All you have to do is put that front wheel on and handlebars. Everything else comes pre-assembled. Of course, throw that battery on the charger. But you know, as soon as I got it put together, we've been riding ever since, riding her hard ever since. Of course, we've had some things we've had to replace, some wear and tear items, but we'll get to that in a second. So let's get to the basics if you don't already know. It is a 3 kilowatt hub drive motor. Pretty much this bike has similar stats, in my opinion. Let me know if I'm wrong in the comments, but this bike has similar stats to a Surron. The only difference is, well, there's tons of differences, I'm sure, but the big main and obvious difference is this is a hub driven motor, and of course the Surron has a mid-drive motor, which gives that direct instant torque, more power. Even though they're the same size motor, you get definitely instant torque with the mid-drive. But with it being similar stats, they're 3,000 watt hub drive motor. It peaks out at 6,000 watts, and that's paired to a 60 volt 35 amp hour battery. And I believe, I'm not too sure, but I've done some research, and I believe that's a far driver controller. Again, I'm not sure of the model, but I've heard it's a far driver controller. I haven't opened it up, take a look inside. I don't know if the dongle is in there, so you can connect your Bluetooth app and change settings. I haven't tried. Really, this bike goes fast enough for me, so I haven't really found the need to. But with those three things combined, the hub motor, the battery, and the far driver controller, Freego claims a top speed of 60 miles an hour. But of course, you're going to get different top speed claims at different sites wherever you go, you know. But I'm going to let you know, I've topped this thing out at 55 miles an hour GPS. And, you know, there's a bunch of different things that plays a part in getting that top speed. Like weather conditions, of course wind conditions, that has a big effect, I've seen. And of course you know, your rider height and weight. Me myself, I'm 5'10" and 165 pounds, 165 pounds, and I'm able to get this thing up to 55 miles an hour, no problem. And it gets there pretty fast. People think that this bike has no torque. It has plenty torque. I get up to 50, 55 in no time. I haven't done a count, but it's way faster than the cars on the street. I could tell you that much. I leave at the line with them all the time. And of course, if it isn't like unless it's like a muscle car or some tuner car or some, you know, speed demon, I'm taking off on everybody at the line, and they're not catching up to me at all. So I love this for that. It's a great commuter, and it's just great fun. Now, it is an electric dirt bike, but it does have pedals, and really they're just there for show. You're not really going to be pedaling this thing around. I've tried before. It does have the 7-gear Shimano shifter, but even in the highest gear, I'm only able to get this thing up to 15 miles an hour, and it's not fun to pedal. Now, I love pedaling in front of cops, you know, just so they don't give me that hassle, because it's still technically a bike that you could drive under your own power with no assistance of the motor. So it has that going for it. Really one of the main reasons I chose it. But pedaling is not ever going to be a thing that I do for fun. It's definitely not for exercise. I say that because I have people ask, can they use this for exercise? No, this isn't get an exercise in type bike. I've had plenty of e-bikes that had pedals where you can have that assist from the motor, and you can also get a good exercise in. But with this thing being 120 pounds, it's no fun to pedal. That big behemoth of a battery weighs 20 pounds all by itself. I'll have a picture of it, see if I can throw it up on the screen. Not sure if I can, so don't get mad at me if it doesn't pop up there, but I'm gonna try. But yeah, the battery alone weighs 20 pounds, and all in total the bike weighs about 120 pounds. Now, with this being a 60 volt 35 amp hour battery, it does have a crazy power drop off. I don't know if I really want to put it at blame of the bike, but the power does drop off crazy. I cruise this thing at 50 miles an hour most of the time, 50 plus. And once you hit that 20 mile marker, you're going to notice a big power drop. And that's pretty, you know, I don't want to blame the bike, because at 20 miles, cruising at 50 miles an hour, that's pretty comparable to other e-bikes with the same battery. I think Surron's on a full range test, when they're topping out at their max speed, I think they get about 20 miles as well. I'm not too sure on that, but it's not a fault of the bike. I'm pretty sure if I wasn't going as fast, if I'm doing 25 or 30, which is suitable for some people. I'm just an adrenaline junkie, so I don't ride this thing at 25 miles an hour, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people can have fun riding this thing at 25, 30 miles an hour. But I'm pretty sure you could get a lot more range at that speed as well. They claim a top range of 60 miles. I'm just letting you know, at full speed this thing's about to get about 20 miles, and then you're going to notice that power drop off, and it's going to hit you fast and hard. The bike's going to struggle to get to 40 miles an hour, and very soon after, I'm talking about within a couple miles, it's going to be struggling to get to 30 miles an hour, and so on and so forth. I've actually killed this battery down to about 2 out of 3 bars. I don't know what the voltage was at that point, and I wasn't able to get this thing past 18 miles an hour. Thank God I was close to home, because like I said, you can only pedal this thing up to 15 miles an hour. So I was getting pretty close to about to have to start pedaling, and but I brought it down to 2 out of 5 bars, and at that point I would call it unusable power. It's like unusable power. Like I said, you might as well pedal, and yeah, like I said, this thing is no fun to pedal. Now, even sport mode, this thing can get 30 plus miles of range, I'm sure, in sport mode, but like I said, it's not going to be favorable. I'm pretty sure you can get 30 miles of range and still have battery life, but you're not going to be zipping through traffic like you see me doing. It's not going to be a good time. It's more of a sidewalk bike at that point. Now, this bike came stock with a 67.2 volt 3.5 amp charger, which Freego says can charge this bike from 0 to full in 8 to 10 hours. But we went on and upgraded to a 67.2 volt 5 amp charger, which charges this thing from 0 to full in about 6 hours. And trust me, it's a noticeable difference. I never take this thing down to 0. Once I get to like 3 out of 5 bars, I'm pretty much done with my ride. That's like when you hit about that like 20-mile range, probably like 15 to 20 miles, you'll be down 2 bars, and that's when my ride is over. So it's never down to 0. But with that 5 amp charger, let me tell you, I can get another ride in that day. With the stock charger, you're pretty limited to about 1 ride per day with that long wait time for a recharge. But with the 5 amp charger, I can guarantee a couple rides a day. I can get one in the morning if I leave early enough, and I can probably get another one in before the sun goes down. You know, so 5 amp charger I would definitely recommend upgrading to. Of course, I hear that it may affect the longevity of your battery, but I've always upgraded all my chargers to my previous e-bikes, and I've had them for years. So, you know, that's all up to personal preference, I'm gonna say. But I think this thing definitely needs a faster charger than the one that it came stock with. Now, she came stock with a 19 by 2.75 Chow Yang tires, and if you're familiar with these e-bikes that come from overseas, that's a popular tire brand, and they've always done good by me. They do wear fairly fast, but they are a decent tire. Down there it's a 70 by 100 by 19, and it came with one of these in the front and back. But I ride this thing pretty aggressively. I like to skid out a lot. I like to lock up that back wheel. So the back one ended up going bald at about like I want to say maybe around 400 miles. Started going bald, but it wasn't there yet. But it became a problem like around 700 miles. I'll say about 700 miles. So I ended up changing that for a Dunlop. This is a Dunlop MX34. Same dimensions, 70 by 100 by 19, and I ended up getting this bad boy from Cycle Gear, which is like a block away from my house, so that came in handy because I did need it ASAP. And that's definitely a more sturdy, beefier tire. I also did grab a Kenda tire off of Amazon, which I'll probably throw on the back before I throw one on the front, because the front still has a lot of life in it, and that's the original tire, and the back one looks like it may need another one before that front one. So I do have a Kenda tire at home, and that looks beefier as well. There is just a thicker material. It just looks a lot more sturdy. It just looks wider than the stock tires to me. I don't know if it comes across to you, but they're supposed to be the same size and dimensions, but that back one definitely looks a little bit wider. But I was thinking about getting some street tires. I just like the dirt bike look, so I kept the knobbies. But we may eventually end up changing to some street tires. That is a goal. So the bike came with dual hydraulic disc brakes, and which work great. Have ton of stopping power, but I actually snipped mine yesterday, so forgive the hydraulic fluid everywhere. It's still keeping a little pressure, but it's still giving me some stopping power. But I'm gonna have to get this line fixed. That just happened yesterday. I think the placement of these lines are in a bad spot, but it is what it is. I'm not gonna change out the whole system. I'm gonna just get this line changed out, maybe even later today, because we definitely do need our front brakes. But the dual hydraulic disc brakes are great, but if you've watched my video, we did have a crash on the bike, which compromised my rear brake, so we ended up replacing them with some Magura MT5s on the rear, which, let me tell you, are amazing. They lock the back tire up like it's nothing. I was having a lot of trouble modulating the stock brake trying to do wheelies, but since I've upgraded to the Magura, it's upped my confidence so much, because I can feel when they start to grab a little, and I can lock it up with one finger. There's so much you know, feeling in the brake lever that it's upped my wheelie game so much. But so that's definitely an upgrade I would recommend, even though the stock brakes work great. They lock up the back tires as well. But if you're going in a straight line, that's all you need. But if you're trying to do any type of extracurricular activities, you might want a little filling in that back brake. Can't bring up the brakes and not bring up the brake sensors. People ask about that a lot. Of course, since I've upgraded the rear brakes, I opted for the version that don't need a rear brake sensor, so that's not there. That plug's gone. But in my front brake, I still have the sensor connected, just so I could kill that motor power if I'm going too fast. The sensor's still connected, but if you wanted to remove it, it's fairly easy. There's one screw below, and you would follow that line down, which will lead into this box, and you just simply unplug it from its connection right there. It's fairly simple. You can run no brake sensors. I recommend keeping at least the front one connected, so it does kill that motor power if you're going on a speed run and you need to come to a quick stop. Having both of them disconnected and you're still throttling but hitting the brake, you might keep some momentum that you don't need in a fast braking situation. So rear brake sensor removed, so we can still get those good wheelies in, and front brake sensor still there. I recommend you do the same thing if you were thinking about removing any brake sensor. Leave that front one, please. Now, bike came with the KKE rear shock, and it is adjustable. I ride with mine a little soft or whatever. Don't mind my water bottle back there. If you're wondering, that's a little storage space for my water bottle. I'll keep, you know. But KKE in the rear, front shock, no branding on the shocks, but they are good. They are nice and bouncy. Like I said, I've just owned like a fairly cheaper Chinese e-bikes, so I don't have a whole lot to compare to. I haven't ridden dirt bikes that much, so I don't have a real dirt bike shocks to compare to, but they feel nice for me. They bounce. You can lock them all the way up to where they bounce none. It has a lot of adjustment. I don't want to mess with mine because I feel like I have them dialed in, but they're great. These are just stickers that I put on, did not come with the bike. Of course, number plate did not come with the bike, but I'll put links in the description for those things. People ask all the time. Of course, the this brake lever cover didn't come with the bike, and the grips didn't. But I'll put the links for the grips. People ask about the pedals. I'll put a link for those in the description as well, along with the straws. They're just straws. Amazon, you can search for all this stuff on Amazon, fairly easy to find. I replaced the wire covers. It came with black covers. I just replaced it out with red. And in these pedals, they're not really the same red as the rest of the stuff on the bike. Coincidentally, yeah, of course it doesn't match the shock, but it does match the stock brakes. That was weird, but we'll go with it. I think it came out good overall. Address this, showing off the front of the bike. This is not where the headlight is supposed to be mounted. It comes with a mount to mount the headlight here, so you can get a better angle or whatever, but I just didn't like it sitting up there, so I mounted it down here. It had a whole screw. I just mounted it down there. It works just as good. I just had to address that because I know someone's going to be looking at the bike and ask, why is the headlight down there? That's not where it's supposed to be mounted. That's just me and my doings. But it comes with a mount, so you can mount it up here. It actually does look good there. I just didn't want it. I wanted to kind of keep the number plate clear. Don't ask me. Now, people comment on the brightness of the headlight, and I have to make it known it's supposed to be up here, which would give it way more vision or whatever. But of course, as you can see, that's not the best angle. I'm definitely cutting out at least half of my light, and it's pointed real low and not at the best angle. So if you do see the headlight and it looks fairly weak in the videos, the headlight isn't really weak. It's actually blinding. I feel bad when I pass people, and even at this level, it still shines them in their face, and there gets a block in their face. I feel bad. But the bike does come with the headlight. You actuate that there. When you hit that light button, also turns on the tail light, which also doubles as a brake light. When you hit the brake that is still connected to the sensor, it will take your already on light and make it brighter. Now let's go over the wear and tear. As I've already mentioned, the tire, I believe the tire started going bald around 400 or 500 miles. I didn't address it until about 700, and it's been the same tire since then. And as far as the brakes, I actually did change the rear brake. There are stock rear brake pads once before I ended up upgrading to these Maguras. So over its 1100 miles, I've had to change the rear brakes once. Still the original front brake pads, and they're still good. I checked them. And wear and tear, I was going to say that's it, but we've also broken multiple spokes. So we've broken at least 5 spokes. We've replaced 4 spokes, and then I have a broken one right now, which I couldn't find my bag of replacement spokes, so I ended up ordering some more, and those should be arriving in the mail today. So I'm going to switch out another spoke. And keep in mind, when you receive this bike, loosen up. Those spokes are going to be way too tight. You know, just check them. They're just overly tight. So when you hit a bump, they're going to snap. Loosen them up just a tad, not too much. Still keep your wheel true, but I believe those are overly tight. You can even see the bolt impressions at the top of the spoke screw, which they did it with like a drill or something and over tighten them on all of the spokes. So yeah, and do have to change out the spokes. They're 100 and 31 millimeters is the perfect size. Trust me, I know I had to order quite a few different sizes before I found the right size. It's 131 millimeters. Will swap in and out like nothing. And I found that I don't even have to take the wheel off of the dropout to change the spokes. I'm lazy, call me lazy, whatever. I actually just deflate the tire all the way. I'll try to use a tire lever and pop it off as much as I can with the bike still on, or with the tire still on the dropout. Then I'm able to access the spoke, take the old one out, feed the new one in, so it doesn't take that long. It's not that long of a process. It's still a pain, but you know, it's something we've done a few times. And I thought I had the wheel dialed, but I did hit a couple fairly large little curb jumps, and we ended up breaking the other spoke. So I'm gonna have to get in there again tonight and do it again, but we're not worried. That's really all I could think of as far as wear and tear. You know, as far as the bike's fault, nothing's happened. Of course, we've looped her a couple times, have a tear in the seat, you know, kind of messed up my handlebar grips. But as far as upkeep on the bike, there is none other than the spokes, of course. Now, when you do get this bike, one thing I do recommend is you going over every nut and bolt and screw. When you get it, there's going to be a lot of creaking and cracking, and I'm not just talking about the common brake squeal that we all talk about. We know that this thing has bad brake squeal on the stock brake calipers. There's absolutely none on the rear now, but stock brakes are going to have a lot of brake squeal. But other than the brake squeal, there's going to be other creaks and cracks everywhere. Like this battery tray was so loose upon arrival, and I was riding around with it for quite a while without realizing a lot of the clacking that I was hearing was this opening and shutting every time I hit anything, a rock, a pebble, anything. That was making a lot of noise. As soon as I tightened that bolt, it eliminated a lot of sound, but I was still getting sounds from places. And so I went through the bike with the fine comb, and I just tightened every nut and bolt, and I can officially say this bike is pretty silent now. It's dead silent. All you hear is rubber contacting the floor. When I hit the throttle, you just hear the wheel hitting the ground. You just hear a weird, you've heard electric cars and electric vehicles. It sounds crazy. People don't even know I'm coming up. That's why I don't fly past people, because I've scared quite a few people riding past them because they don't hear you coming. And it hums. The wheel hitting the floor hums pretty crazily. So when it sneaks up on them, it scares the living day out of them, because this thing is a silent beast. I honestly think it's an underrated bike. Like I said, I got it because of the pedals. I heard that people have trouble on the Surrons, even though out here the cops don't really care about Surrons. I heard people do run into problems here and there occasionally because of the lack of pedals. So I got this because of pedals, and because of that, I've literally never had a problem. I ride past police all the time. I get that question a lot. Do I get hassled by the police? Police said they don't have a problem with this bike. I have a few videos back, I even pulled up and asked them, and they said if they seen me in traffic, they wouldn't stop me. They really don't care. They have far other things to worry about. Just think about that. Just think about if they were devoting their time to chasing people on bikes, and say they did catch you and they wrote you a ticket, because that's what it would be. It would be a ticket. How ridiculous would that look to their colleagues if you chose to fight it and go to court? They would look, that would be embarrassing. I think, in my personal opinion, sitting in the courtroom, trying to argue to the judge what this guy was doing on his bike in the street. Yeah, so you don't really have to worry about that at all. So yeah, just go over everything, every nut and screw. Make sure it's dialed in. If you do hear noises, try to figure out where it's coming from and try to eliminate it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a loose bolt or something, like things like this. Like that was pretty loose. These were pretty loose. Just things like that. We also did do a kickstand delete. That was making a ton of noise. It just kept slapping up against here. And honestly, I'm never anywhere when I'm out and about on a ride. I'm not sitting my bike down somewhere. Sometimes I do go into the liquor store, but I just set it up against the wall or wherever, and it's fine. Me, I don't see really the need for the kickstand for as much noise as it makes. Of course, it's coming to bite us in the butt right now because I'm trying to make a video and I want it sitting up and we're resting on the can, but things like that work. Rest the pedal up on a can, use it as a kickstand if you absolutely can't set it up against a wall or something like that, and works great. Now another thing that makes noise is this chain. It's actually pretty tight up there, but yeah, this chain makes a lot of noise. Sometimes it has a lot of play up top, I'm guessing, depending on what gear it's in. And as you can tell by the paint that's gone right here, it smacks against this frame a lot. Now I have seen a frame protector for the chain, which I don't know why I haven't ordered yet. They're pretty cheap. They're only like less than 20 bucks. I don't know why I haven't ordered one yet, but I'm gonna order one because that does make a lot of noise. But other than that, this thing is a silent beast. Now as it sits, I still think it's the best bang for its buck when it comes to power, and especially compared to the competitors. Like I said, the Surron is just going to come to mind. Of course, we have eride pros and things of that sort, but at $2,700, this is great. Now they do also have the EKX21 Max, which is literally the same exact bike. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe EKX is the original manufacturer of this bike, and I believe Freego, you know, purchased the frames and came to a deal to slap their logo on the bike, and they're also a distributor for this frame and power plant of this bike. But I see the EKX21 for around the same price, $2,700. Sometimes I see it for $2,400, and it's the same thing. But and they're also releasing the Freego X2 Pro, which is the same exact bike, but they do have a couple different colors. They have this original gray, and they're also adding the color blue and the color red, but same battery, same motor. But they also did do a gear delete, which I think is great. I don't think this bike needs gears. I just think it needs the 1 gear, 7th gear. It doesn't need all those different rear sprockets, so or rear gearings, I don't know what it's called. But yeah, so I think the chain delete is great. The Freego X2 Pro, I'm seeing for sale for pre-order for the same price as I'm seeing this one for sale for. It's about $2,700 or $2,800. I'm pretty sure you can catch it on sale if you keep up with it. But yeah, like I said, best bang for the buck, because that's why I'm sure you're looking into it. You're looking into it because you want something that goes fast, but you don't want to pay as much for a Surron or something of that sort. This is it. I'm seeing like eride come out with these mini models and things, but they still don't have the stats as this. They still just top out at like 37 or 40 miles an hour. This thing is a beast, and it's the same size as the Surron, Talaria, eride Pro. So yeah, and if money isn't an option, honestly, for me, if money wasn't an option, I probably would have skipped this thing altogether. And why not just go get yourself a darn Stark Varg, you know, spend 13 grand on a Stark Varg, or they have the new Altus Sigma coming out, which I'm actually really interested in. I'm really thinking about getting. I'm not done with my fun on this, but I am. That Altus Sigma is sexy, and it has the power, you know, that you would want on an electric dirt bike. So if money isn't an option, of course you have a whole lot of things you can choose from, but if you're looking for the best bang for the buck, this is it. So honestly think that's it for the bike. I think I got everything. I hope I didn't miss anything. Did we cover the 7-gear shifter? Of course it has sport, eco, has a park mode. It's in park now. Light dongle, Let's turn that light on and get a look at it. So the light is pretty bright. Of course, in daytime, can't see it that good. But it does have a brake light as well, or tail light and brake light. Put our custom license plates. The bike does not require license, registration. People ask me that as well all the time. That's a novelty license plate. I think it looks funny. Let's cook, because we definitely be cooking on this bad boy. And it's a beautiful bike. Now I think I'm done with the review part, so let's hop on this thing and take off. Of course, phone mount, and we're out of here. And she's quick, she gets up. Ooh, I think I just felt a little drizzle. It might rain. Turn that light off. Let's pop one up. I appreciate you guys coming through, watching my review. If you want to see some fire videos of me riding this thing around any and everywhere, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. I would love to make this a thing. And we're still practicing. Woo! We're still practicing wheelies. We're not the best, but we're getting there. But I'll catch you guys on the next one.